Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here, Podcast Pete. It's an exciting day because people buy from people. And if you understand the shift that has happened in the last few years, you can position yourself as a key person of influence because people buy from people. They don't buy from companies. You can just look at your landscape, look at the people, whether it's Oprah, Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, Daniel Priestley, the person who wrote this book, Brendan Bouchard. These are people, key people, persons of influence. They have multiple businesses, but you know one person. So even The Rock, he's got lots of businesses, but you know about The Rock. And you got to look at your business the same way. Because if you understand 7-Eleven 4 and you understand that strategy, which I'm going to go into it so you can make that shift this year, because there is a lot of change coming up. Whether you're dialed into how you're using AI or you're part of the digital revolution and have been, but you haven't really figured out how to position yourself, or you're working for somebody else and you want to be that entrepreneur you've always loved to create, and you feel like being a creator, stepping out, learning to be an entrepreneur is the route you want to take. Because if you're a corporate professional, this year's going to be really crazy because businesses are going to learn how to do with less. That's the effects of AI. It's kind of like gravity. You can choose not to believe in gravity, it still happens. You can choose whatever you want to believe. But when change comes, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. It's going to make a major change in business. You may be really busy, focused on your business, and I'll take you back to the Blockbuster day. See, they lost sight of a trend. They lost sight of what the customer wanted. There was one pain that I remember them sharing that irked customers of Blockbuster to the core. And you just can't do that, because if you're not focusing on the customer, and look what Jeff Bezos did with Amazon, customer centric. Everything was about the customer. Even though they may lose money for a little bit, they were focused on that customer experience. Let me go back to Blockbuster. There was stories where somebody misplaced a tape or a CD. Say the kids put it under the bed and all of a sudden didn't see it for 3-5 months. Then they find it and it says property of Blockbuster. You take it back and they're charging you a mortgage payment. Now, you know the tape only cost $10, $15 maybe, but they were charging you several hundred because you had gone over the rental agreement. That was not a customer focused experience. That would irk people to the core. And so they got dependent on that revenue. I remember reading something where it brought in a pretty high percentage of profit. Now, they were happy because they were making lots of money on people's mistakes, but the customer was not happy. Then all of a sudden, the shift happened. People went from physical stores, renting a tape, driving it back, to streaming. Well, first it was put a CD in the mail, You would get another one as soon as you returned it. So you could, from the comfort of your home in a postage envelope, keep working the movies. You didn't even have to go down to the store. You got the movie you wanted, you watched it with the family, then you sent it back. Then you got a chance to do another one. So that was more convenient for the customer. Then it shifted to streaming. Then what did they do? This is Netflix. They gave you the ability to binge. You could watch an entire season in a weekend. So it snowed in your area or rained and it wasn't a good day to be out. Well, you binged a show from start to finish. Where the old way of doing it, you had to wait a week for the next episode. So all these changes happen. And in your business, you got to be aware. We got an entrepreneurial change. We have a digital revolution. We've gone from industrial, factory, work 40 years for a company, retire. Now it's not that way. You have lots of gigs, as they call it. You're working for Uber on the side, but you also have another job. So whenever you need some money, you log on, you drive, you make some money. So people are making money with gigs. They're delivering food. They're providing for their family, but they're doing it through multiple sources. And that's what you have to think, because I want you to grasp this concept. People buy from people. Think of Elon. Think of Oprah. Think of Joe Rogan. Think of Tim Cook. Think of Michael Jordan. Think of Daniel Priestley, Brendon Burchard. These people have multiple businesses. What did Nike do? They knew that people buy from people. So they signed big contracts. They revenue share. It's how Michael Jordan became a billionaire on tennis shoes. So it's kind of crazy, but people wanted Air Jordan. They didn't want Nike Jordan. They wanted Air Jordan because it was Michael. It was tied to a person. And when you look at Michael Jordan, you think of a person. Our brain processes people, not businesses. So social media is making that happen. It was always a dilemma. I first got into social media 10 years ago, and it was really hard because the company was wanting to get into it, but you needed a person. You can't make a company look personal. Just too hard to do. So, but you can make a person, a story. You get to know the person. I remember when Steve Jobs passed away, and the pictures of people just losing it because they got to know him through his technology, through his innovation, through the way he positioned himself in front of Apple. We all knew of Tim Cook, and Wozniak was there, but he wasn't the front person. Now, I remember somebody said in a comment, they were mad because Wozniak created everything. Well, that's good. That's good. It takes a team anyway. But one person has to be out there. And this person was not arguing with me, but left a comment on one of my videos like, Wozniak was the person. Well, he's probably a techie kind of person, and he was mad that a person like Steve Jobs got all the attention. And hey, look, I'm sure Wozniak is not too upset about it. He did very well financially. But some person has to be the person for the business. I had a conversation on LinkedIn with a healthcare provider, CEO, I go to. I bought it. I went to them because of a person, Shannon. She came and spoke at our Overture, our 55 and older wonderful person. I went because of her. When I asked him and sent him a video of people buy from people, he chose to keep a low profile. Now, that's a choice everybody can make, but people don't remember companies. Even though the company is ALO, it's a made up word, I found out. Cool, but they don't buy from ALO. They buy from people. 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 So if you think of your business, I want you to think, how do you put yourself out there? You do it through podcasting. That's one way. You do through a book. You do through a workshop. You do through being out there. When you look at 7-11-4, what that means is 7 hours, 11 buying signals, and 4 individual platforms. So you're putting yourself out there. You're podcasting. You're putting your story out there. And in the case of how we do things, we invite the key strategic partners to be the guests because we want them to start creating assets, start elevating their profile. Because when you look at the 5 Ps that Daniel teaches about, it's pitch, profile, product, presentation, and partnership. So when you look at that, you got to get your pitch down. I said this yesterday when I was on a training. I introduced 2 people together at an event. And I watched the one person bore to death for 5 minutes, throwing up, as I call it, on the people. No interest whatsoever of the person receiving the information. And that's the case. You have to keep in mind that you may be passionate about what you do, but if the 11, which is buying signals, they show no interest, you don't need to spend 5 minutes throwing up on them because you haven't got your pitch down. Pitch. For me, we generate leads, we create cash flow, and we build thriving communities. That's it. Now, if they say nothing, I don't say anything more. I may ask them about themselves and just talk conversational. I'm not looking to sell them because they're not interested. People have to show buying signals. Tell me about generating leads. How do you do that? We do it through podcasting, publishing, and building thriving communities. What do you mean podcasting? Everybody's doing it. What do you do different? Well, it's a digital asset. People remember stories. So we invite key strategic partners to be on our podcast because we want them to work as a team. We want them to work as a team behind the key person of interest and influence because everybody has to look at their team. So the thriving communities is teams within teams within teams. So when you put the teams together, we put them through an intentional magazine. So picture yourself on the cover. That's me 3 years ago. Found myself waking up in a hospital bed, not having a left side. Still working on it. Still going to PT. Still adjusting. Still pivoting. Still learning to live without playing golf, without running, because I've run in 25 plus peach trees. I used to play 5 days a week after work. I don't anymore. That's business. Sometimes the cards you get aren't the ones you want. That's the game of poker. Yeah, you could. You want that ace. You want it. Sometimes you get it, but you got to know how to play them. And when we look at a magazine, picture you on the cover. You're a key person of influence, And in the magazine is 20 of your key strategic partners. We help you build that. Intentionally, you're bringing a team to your ideal client, ideal prospect, because you have to know your ideal prospect. Who do you really enjoy working with? You have to have that before you do anything. So we teach you to do that too, but then we teach you to, bring your key strategic partners on the podcast so our community can get to know them. So you can bring to the presentation, remember when we said pitch, profile, product, presentation, and partnership? Well, when you bring them to the table, you bring your team to the table of the presentation that you're making to your ideal prospect. One versus a team of 20. Now, you keep working on this. This is not something you just do once. You're always building your team, your key strategic partners, because strength in numbers. Because if you're presenting to me and it's one person, which I've had this before, one realtor versus a team, I'm going with the team. I don't care who the realtor is. Got to have a team. And you got to present your team. So you give the magazine to your ideal prospect. They have the stories of the people in the magazine because we've done a podcast. We've put it in print form. So each person, so you have 20 people. Imagine you have 20 people giving out these magazines. Now, they want to get on the cover because they want to be the key person of influence. But until then, it's giving out. So you're basically all working as a team. 20 people giving out magazines. Yes, the cover is the main person, but in there are stories of the people that surround that person, are part of that team. That's why we say teams within teams within teams within teams. There's even mentions in there where we do $50 mentions in many magazines. So those people might say, I only have $50 to spend on my marketing budget. Fine, do a $50 mention, be in a lot of magazines. That way people get to know you. And then you start increasing your cash flow, which when we say is generate leads and increase cash flow. Because when I was in the digital world before my stroke, people would buy this elaborate website. They'd spend all this money and they didn't even have one client. Don't spend money until you get your clients. You can always add, but you got to get cash flow day one because you're validating your service. If you are like a great cook and you want to, you have the most awesome Creole from New Orleans, and people always say, you need to go in business. Okay, that's great. Now you got to go out and find paying customers. Just because people say it's great, are they willing to spend it, their money? So you say, well, how about if I cater a party for you and I'll bring my Creole? If they say yes, say, okay, it'll be $200 for me to do that. You still want to do it? They say, nah, don't think so. Then you don't have an idea. Because if people aren't willing to spend money, they're not willing to validate your service. So think of, you got to generate that cash. Get 3 customers to start out, validate it, that people are willing to spend money to get what you have. They're willing to solve a problem because you got to know what you're solving out there. And if you're not, you won't last, because being an entrepreneur is solving problems. They're the key to the economy, not the government. Government is the largest employer in the world. I mean, not world, but US at least. 2.4 million. The next is Walmart, I think 1.6, and then Amazon 1.4. The government doesn't create anything. They should be a lot smaller, and hopefully they will be, because entrepreneurs drive the economy. Look at the innovation of entrepreneurs. Look at Uber, from a concept to a billion-dollar company. Look at Tesla, from a concept to a billion-dollar company. Look at all the companies that start by entrepreneurs. The government doesn't produce anything but tax you for the services. So we want a good value for the money we're spending. That's why we're downsizing. A lot of people don't like that because their selfish interests are being exposed. They can't finance all the crazy things that have been coming out if you've watched it. So, people buy from people. People buy from people. You want to get in the magazine? Well, show us a buying signal. And when you show a buying signal, we know you're serious. So, if you go to pkane.me/magazine, you could be on the cover. Then we'll teach you how to surround yourself with your key strategic partners in the magazine so you can get your investment back, because we're focused on your cash flow. Have a tool, have 10 to 20 people that are in your on your team in the magazine that you can hand out and help everybody. The cover will obviously benefit the most, but every person in there can benefit too. And even the $50 mentions, because we support you. We support you with live events once a month. We support you with virtual events twice a month. Let me go to this. So we have today at 3:00 a meetup where we're going to teach you about Key Person of Influence, the 7-11-4. Because when you understand pitch, got to be short. We have attention spans. That's why short form video, TikTok, YouTube shorts, Instagram shorts, Facebook shorts. Everybody's got shorts because we got a short attention span. And you got to be aware of this. Time is the biggest challenge for people because our social media platforms hire the brightest people to keep you on their platform. And by keeping you on their platform, they make money. So you have to be aware. You have to have a strategy. And it's not to scroll. Like I think the average person scrolls 2 hours a day. That's consuming. Be a creator. Be a creator. Create podcasts. Create a magazine. Create a book. Create a workshop. Create versus consume. Watching TV 4 hours a day, that's consuming other people's lives. So, do you want to be a consumer of stuff or creator? That's your choice. And if you want to be a creator, there's nothing like it. We are born to create. Born to create. We're creators. Now, to connect with us, go to pkane.me/connect. That way, we do live events, we do virtual events, we do workshops, we do webinars, we do Q&As. We do events to connect people. We want to introduce you to people. We want to build your relationships. We want to partner with people. Remember, partnerships is number 5 in this book. Partnerships, collaboration. So when you do connect with us, go to pkane.me/connect because it's about community. It's about building those relationships. When we do the live event, we have 10 speakers, 15 talks, 5 minutes, 3 points. When we do the virtual event twice a month, 10 speakers, 15 talks, 5 minutes, 3 points. Our sponsor for everything we do is Growth Day. That's our number one up there on the path to being a key person of influence community. Try it for 7 days and have Brendon Burchard, who has many businesses. Some are very vocal. Some are very visible. Some aren't. That's why people buy from people. They buy from him. And he'll speak to you in your ear for 7 days. It is an amazing value that you get. To have a person of his caliber who's been doing it 20 plus years, who certified me as a high performance coach, who has a community of high performance coaches, has a community of Growth Day, which is personal development. And this community is growing it's probably at about 500,000 now, 60 plus countries. Numbers don't lie. Numbers tell you people like it. Look at how Amazon grew. Numbers tell you that. If you do this for 7 days, you do the 5 to Thrive. 5 takes 15 minutes a day. It's your rocket fuel. And consider your business a rocket, and you need fuel for the rocket. If you're going to Mars, you can't get there without fuel. So you got to have for your business fuel. And personal development is developing your leadership, mastering your skills. Because you don't grow until you grow. Your business doesn't grow until you grow. When you grow, your business grows because you develop leadership, you develop all the skills. And it's not just do it for a year. It's an ongoing thing of growth. Growing personally every day. 5 to Thrive. Brendon Burchard speaks to you each day. That's worth, it's priceless to have a person of his skills and caliber to speak to you. So you get to try it for 7 days. 7 days you get to try it out. It's kind of like going to Costco. If you're in the US, Costco is a value membership. So you go in there, you have to have a membership to get there. Get in. But they're big quantities, great value. They keep their margins low, great value. But they have sample tables. Because if you're going to buy a bigger container of something, you want to know it's something you like. So you try it. Tables all over there. So you can try it to see if you like it. Here, with Growth Day, try it. And I would be shocked if you don't like it. Now, if you don't listen every day, of course you're not going to do it. It's like you got to try it, taste it. Taste it, taste the quality of the framework, of the motivation. Because a lot of people say, that motivational stuff. Let me just share with you. Motivation is like a shower. If you were a person that didn't shower, you'd get kind of stinky over time. Maybe you don't need it every day. But if you don't shower personally, your thoughts get stinky. You get toxic. You complain. You absorb all the negative news. You're the whiner. Nobody likes a whiner. People like people that shower, that are clean. And if you shower each day in personal development, you have the kind of mindset. And then you create good habits. Habits create outcomes. Because if you don't set goals, anything's going to get you there. I was just listening to Brian Tracy yesterday in Growth Day. If you don't have a deadline, it's just a dream. We all dream, but when we put a deadline to it, it's a goal. And you have to know where you're going, because if you don't, any road will get you there. So I told you I was going to give you a gift. Well, I think I did. Well, if not, I want to give you our masterclass. I want to give you a gift. 10 steps, 10 strategies for you to grow by 10x. Because if you have the fuel to grow your business and understand the value of assessment, the value of coaching, the value of a key strategic partner magazine, the value of live events, the value of really understanding social media amplification, how AI can enhance your speed of your business. We use send out cards as number 8. It's a way of connecting, staying in touch. It's a system. We have brand ambassadors. That way, a person can earn as they grow, because we want to take you, like myself, starting over is, hey, if you got to start over, you got to start over. That's the card you dealt. Physically, business-wise, I had to shut down my digital business, start over, started podcasting. I've done about 400 of them. So when I started, I was awful. I mean, awful. Forgetting things, didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I just got a little bit better every time. And you keep getting better. And that's the way you got to think of your business. Be a key person of influence, because people buy from people. People buy from people. Be the person out in front. Connect with people, because people remember stories and they remember people. Companies, we don't. We just don't. So, yes, be a guest on my podcast. So if you'd like, we have a podcast academy. So you can be a guest on my podcast. We have other podcasters. So you could be part of the podcast community and be on podcasts, because the more podcasts you're on, the more digital assets you create. The more people know you, potentially like you, and do business with you. So 7-Eleven 7 hours of you, 11 buying signals, and 4 different platforms. So be a guest on our podcast. Let's create a digital asset for you. Let's get your story out there, and let's position you as a key person of influence. Because once you are, we're going to invite you to be on the cover of the magazine. Now, it costs an investment. To get 90% of what we do is free, but we do focus on helping people get to the point where they're putting their own magazine together. And when you do that, excuse me, when you do that, go to magazine, go to pkane.me/magazine and see our key strategic partner magazine. We'll teach you how to build it, and we'll put you on the cover, and then we hand out at presentations your team of people, because together you're better. So be bold, make an impact, and have fun. Here we go. Be bold, make an impact, and have fun, because we're about podcasting, publishing, and building communities, thriving communities. Thank you.